Hey friends, welcome back. So now we will actually focus on our application that we have built with teamsFx. So I wanted to kind of give you a recap if you're joining just for this video. This is the main repository that I have put all my code in. And you can see there are three different apps. One is a Teams app that is actually the client-side application that customers are expecting to use from their desktop when they want to contact the dealership. You can kick off remote diagnostics, etc. Right? And there's a Teams bot that's a standalone bot that kind of asks you what's your email, what's your last name, etc. It pulls up your information, kicks off diagnostics, and then kind of creates some fake records in the service database. That is the and then the Teams bot actually be integrated back into Teams app. So the Teams app contains both the bot as well as the Node.js application that renders inside the Teams interface. So if you're not caught those videos, I would say go back please and take a look at those, and then you kind of understand what's going on. So this third project is the one which is actually going to be deployed on Teams, but it is going to be deployed locally only for our org. Means like public cannot access this application; it can only be accessed by the Teams org that we are publishing it into, and it's only for internal use because it is meant to be used by the employees of the service center rather than the people public, right? So that is all built in teamsFx, which it's understandable, right? Because we just covered that. If you want to integrate with Azure AD, and if you want to kind of make sure that single sign-on and all that happens behind the scenes, so then teamsFx is a better option. But if you want to go to the hard way, that's an option too. So that is the project. If you can check this out, basically that's pretty much what you will get here. This is I've renamed the folder a bit because I don't check in the node modules. It's going to make this project size huge, so I don't check in the node modules. I've kept two different directories, one for JIT and one for non-JIT, right? Um, so then the second thing obviously is Visual Studio. Let's open it up just to kind of give a quick overview. So this was the old example. We can kind of close this that we used to have before. Let's close this one. And then if you open the folder, then this is the one which I have built for the project hackathon. So this is way more interesting. It has way more features. So let's not go into the code right away because it's a lot of code and a lot of things going on. But the only dependency you will need to make this project work on your machine is a Docker. And make sure that you have followed the old example, set up MySQL, and run all these scripts that populate the database because that's important. If you don't have that data, then this part will not work for you. So make sure Docker is running and MySQL is running, and you run the previous scripts so that you get kind of have all the database setup completely done. So sorry, I'm just gonna try to find my old command here. Just gonna log in. So if you remember our old, that is our auto repair is our database. And then if you say show tables, this is pretty much what you have: customer table, employee table, and the service accounts. So another thing I want to mention is this, right? Like if you select start from employee, so I have added myself here as ID number 8. You can change your ID to the name to be your Active Directory name, and that's how if you log in with your username, it's going to use this name to pull up service records. So we can actually I'll try to make this update happen in the code itself, so that way you don't have to worry about it too much. But the link is actually by name. It's a clunky way of doing it, but that's okay for now. Yeah, we can do employee ID and all that, like how they show in app camp, but it's more work, so I didn't bother. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if you go here to the active, like the usernames, um, and also you can go to Active Directory, right? Because that's the main thing. So if you go to users here, you will see that there are all these users, right? What you have to do is update your database to any user you care about. Who maybe it's your own username, and then you can log in. So that is important. If you don't do that, you will not get any records back because it's trying to match by this first name, last name. into the database. So just want to point that out up front, because I'm pretty sure that's one thing you'll run into. You just have to update, maybe pick an ID here, or maybe update this name like Jim Barton to your name that matches AD. Like this is what I have done here. You can see, right? So that's pretty much the first thing you have to do once your database is set up. So that will help you as an employee. You're set up as an employee now. It's going to use your name, and it's actually going to connect to AD, do a login, and then it's actually going to use your name from the profile. You can query this database to actually get data that is related to you, right? There are service records and customers, but if you look at the main table is service records. Service records is it contains all this fake data about particular service issue with a machine, with a vehicle, and it has this VIN number, this registration number, what is the customer ID, what is the employee ID, etc. So depending on your employee name, it's going to get the ID, and it's going to filter out records that are relevant only to you, which is kind of obvious once we kind of see the demo. But those are the initial setups that you need to make this project work on your laptop. Okay, moving on to the next step, right? So this is your Teams FX application, and I kind of showed you this. You can run in Teams FX both in command line mode via the Teams FX CLI, or you can try to run this using directly here, right? You can switch to this one, this view, Teams Toolkit view, and it will kind of show you your account status in the local and all that. I can actually run this right here, so in debug mode, right? But it's up to you. I wanted to see how it works, so I'm just here. Um, so let's back up to our folder. Okay, this is my home directory, and yeah, so sorry, teamsFx SSO. That's my home directory for the application, and we'll walk through the code and all that. So the easiest way to get it up running is do teamsFx. You will, I think, might have to do a simple project first. Make sure all your teamsFx issues are resolved, and Visual Studio works fine, VS Code works fine, and then maybe this is way to. Then you can come onto this application. So preview minus local. So if you do that, it's going to do the same steps like I showed in the previous video. So check Node.js, it's going to check Microsoft 365 account, it's going to log in, it's make sure that side loading is enabled. It installs npm on your React application, and then it's actually running this command npm run dev teamsFx. So that's pretty much if you want to run it manually without having to do all these pre-checks, that's the command you will run from the tabs folder. So it opens up this fancy UI, and I think we covered this also a little bit, but I'll show you. So you just hit add, and it adds it into your left navigation. It is a glitch, it just shows it again, so just kill that. And you can see here that there are multiple tabs, etc. So now you're not getting any data. Why? So in this particular application, there are two pieces to the puzzle. One piece is actually the client piece, which is the React application, and the other piece is actually the server side, which is has to be deployed separately, but I have put it in the same project so that you can actually run it very quickly, right? So if you go back to this directory structure, if you see here, there are two, like I'll close everything. So like if you start off, right, this is the checkout from GitHub. So tabs is where the React application, the client side application kind of works, and the API is where the server side, or the application talking to the database works. So when you deploy to Azure, API and the database will get deployed separately, and then this the React app will get deployed separately as two different apps. And then there will be URL dependency between those two, which we can configure. Right now it's hard coded, but it's okay. We can fix that. So that is kind of how the deployment would work. We'll have MySQL managed instance, sorry, not managed instance, app pass service. We create our tables through the API itself. And then we'll have the server side application maybe pushed into Docker, and then pushed it into a public repository, Docker artifactory, and then we can push it down into app. on app service, right? So that is the server side piece, and then the React piece is the it's another app that gets deployed, but it is actually kind of helping out JavaScript and other things on the client side. So you have to start the API also. So if you come to the same folder here, if you see there's a inside API, this is actually a full-fledged Node app. I can kind of see that here, and all you do here is npm start. Once you do that, right, the server side is going to start, and then it is going to connect to MySQL that is running in the Docker, right? So it's localhost 8080 and MySQL. So just make sure that is working before you try anything else. So once you do that, and if you kind of switch tabs here, it will refresh, and you can see that it is actually pulling the data. So this is the first piece of the puzzle. The first is your username. So it is logged into AD. It has used OAuth tokens in the back. It has actually talked to this AD. Then it is making sure that you have the required licenses and whatnot, and it's actually allowing you to log in with the password, right? So the first time when you come in, it will ask you to log in, but now I've said remember me, otherwise you'll keep asking me for the token, etc. So I didn't care. I just said remember me for now. I think it asks you to re authenticate every X days, and then that's okay for now, right? So this is for development. So it's kind of connected it into me, and then this is here at your sales summaries, right? So that is pretty much going making an API call from the REST layer into the server API Node.js layer, and pulling the data that is related only to you. So this is basically a summary tab where you're seeing you have 30 customers overall, and you have 38 service acquisitions that you have done, and you got 5,700 something. So all this is fake data, has got nothing to do with anything, right? So these are all the customers that it's almost like your book of business kind of a model, where you can see all your customers. These are all customers that you have serviced at least once. Can make it more fancy, but this is at a very basic level, a directory that you can, if you get a call for somebody, and then you can try to look them up here, or etc. We can make it search enabled and all that, but that's okay for now, right? So then one level deeper, if you want to go and see, you got the $5,700, but how did you get it month by month? Then this is something which I have put together. So this one is actually going to give you a table view of exactly what month, what year you got all the money. But and this I was trying to plot the multiple things into the same charts, and obviously the money was way higher. So I just faked the number of customers, etc., and multiplied by some random number, and then I'm showing this graph just to make it look a little bit fancier. So one is revenue, that is actual real data, but customers is all fake. I just multiplied by 100 or something. So you will see fake data, and then if you see, right, it's just one customer, but then I'm showing a lot of customers here. That's okay, it's fake. And the revenue is correct, and service appointments also, number of appointments you got. So it's here 4, but it's also fake. Increased it to quite a bit, right? So if you see here 22 to 1, I'm to 250, but actually it's just randomly multiplied by something. And then if you go here, it jumped up to like 1,000 something, but you can see there's only 4. So it's multiplied by 250 almost, I would say, right? Try to make it random, but if you come back, you will see different charts. So just some kind of element of surprise. See, now we changed the data, right? So just make it a little bit visual. None of it is really real data. It's all fake, right? So that is the number second tab. It's using chart.js for your uh, plotting of the graphs. So I had to do a lot of JavaScript manipulation to get the data from the server side, from the database, and actually manipulate that JSON back